إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم توفني مسلما والحقني بالصالحين صدق الله العظيم. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I've been sharing with you a few important stories about the Sahaba. The context I would like to re-emphasize or reiterate in terms of the people who are here, probably who have not heard before, is to talk about these true heroes of mankind, not only about Islam. These are the true heroes of mankind, and we as an ummah have very less knowledge about them. And these are the people who truthfully lived a hero's life. And today, if you notice, the world, which is filled with media, is promoting heroes who are fake. They are not real at all. And the entire world, especially the younger generation, is believing in these heroes. Whatever are shown on the media, in the movies, इनको सही तरीके से लोग क्या समझते हैं कि ये असली हीरो है, ऐसे बताया जाता है. उनके पावर्स या उनके जो है कैरेक्टर को ऐसे बताया जाता है कि वो असली हीरो है, हालांकि दे आर नॉट रियल. दे आर ऑल फिक्टिशियस कैरेक्टर्स. दे हैव क्रिएटेड कैरेक्टर्स. ऑन द अदर साइड you have people who perform in various fields, from sports to science to mathematics to arts, and these people are also projected as true heroes, whereas if you look at their lives, most of their lives, they are in a mess. They are not able to take care of their family. They have a lot of cheating, they have a lot of lying, and all that goes on. So trying to see how we can actually narrate the true heroes of mankind itself is a study, and a study for every Muslim to understand Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life, the ultimate superhero for us, right? And for mankind. And the Sahaba he trained or he inspired. And एक के बाद एक अगर देखेंगे आप, तो इनके अंदर ऐसे खूबी थे, ऐसे कैरेक्टर्स थे which reflected on each other. They were like mirrors to each other. If you look at one and look at the other, so many similar characteristics in them. That's just an amazing thing. It's so difficult for those of you who are in the corporate world, for those of you who are into building a team or managing a team or building an organization. It's so difficult. Manpower ko handle karna is very difficult. The biggest difficulty for the world is to build a good team. They say na, project is not difficult. अगर अच्छी टीम रही तो बहुत मुश्किल से मुश्किल प्रोजेक्ट पे आप अचीव कर सकते हैं. सबसे मुश्किल क्या काम है? ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को बिल्ड करना. और देखिए आप रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने कैसा ह्यूमन रिसोर्स बिल्ड किया, दैट they stood out as stars in any field which was taken up. And where they came from? They came from जहालत. It's such a miracle, नहीं? एक इंसान को जो जाहिल है उसे तब्दील करना बहुत मुश्किल बात है. पूरी जिंदगी लग जाती है एक इंसान को तब्दील करने में. And look at what he did. He created a big, huge team of people. एक के बाद एक, they were like heroes. So it is a duty for us to inshallah study about these people and also ask our younger generation to spend little time and study about their lives. And these are true people. They didn't have resources. उनके पास इतना पैसा, माल, दौलत, हथियार, gadgets like how we have today, ये सब नहीं था उनके पास. फिर भी the impact they created was ta क़यामत. The impact they have created is not just for their era. यहाँ के आज के ज़माने के लोग आते हैं जो really perform करते हैं, उनको उनके मौत के बाद चंद साल याद रखते हैं, फिर भूल जाते हैं. लेकिन ये heroes ऐसे हैं जिनके नाम को मिटाया ही नहीं जा सकता, because Allah is taking care of them. Radiyallahu ta'ala. Allah is razi with them. So Allah is taking care of their name. So As you remember, I spoke about Abu Bakr Siddiq Razillah Ta'ala, and then I spoke about Umar Razillah Ta'ala, and then we had some other Sahabas also. And then last time when I came for Jumua, I was talking about this amazing character who is not much known. Whenever we talk about Sahaba का नाम लेते हैं तो हमें अक्सर जो है अबू बकर सिद्दीक, उमर रज़ियल्लाहु ताला, हमजा रज़ियल्लाहु ताला ऐसे नाम आते हैं, लेकिन इनका नाम उतना ज्यादा, कंटेंट इतना ज्यादा हमें मालूम नहीं होता. ही इज अ वेरी अनसंग सहाबी, उनके बारे में ज्यादा चर्चा होती नहीं है, ज्यादा बातचीत नहीं होती. सो देयर आर रीजन. आई स्टार्टेड ऑफ बाय टेलिंग यू दैट हिज when you describe this man, this sahabi रज़ियल्लाहु ताला, you'll almost feel like you're describing the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. इनके कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स इतने सिमिलर थे रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को कंपेयर करने से, जो ऐसे when you talk about him, people used to think you're describing the Prophet, the height, the looks, everything was like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was one of the most handsome people of that time in Makkah, and for his shyness, उनका जो क्वालिटी और उनका कैरेक्टर ऐसा था कि सब उनसे मोहब्बत करते, पूरे लोग, they just loved him because he was very shy, very humble. His character was so likable that the mothers used to say to their children, the mothers of Makkah used to tell their children, I love you like the way the people of Makkah love Usman Razillah. And this is the Sahabi I'm talking about. Usman Razillah का character, किरदार ऐसा था. इनके बारे में ज्यादा हम लोग जानते नहीं, लेकिन he was very deep. He was known as, इनका लक़ब ज़ुन्नूरैन था. That means the person with two lights. And this was because one was his appearance was very beautiful. He appeared very handsome. And appearance, लोग उस्मान रज़ियल्लाहु ताला देखते तो देखते ही रह जाते. He's so handsome. And the other was the iman inside him. So he had two lights. And the other part is that he was married to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's two daughters. इसीलिए इनको a person with two lights बोलते हैं. So these are important things to know. So moving forward, a few things I am just recapping from what I spoke last. उस्मान रज़ियल्लाहु ताला के बारे में मक्कन पीरियड में ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन इसीलिए नहीं है क्योंकि he migrated to Abyssinia. He was the first person with his wife, that was the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who migrated to Abyssinia for the sake of dawah. So he was not there in Makkah during that peak time. So he was doing his part in Abyssinia, and then they came back. From the time he accepted Islam, he had a sort of a dream, and then he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He immediately, because he knew him from the childhood, it was not very difficult for him to understand that he is speaking the truth, and he accepted Islam. From the time he accepted Islam, he was just like Abu Bakr Siddiq Razillah Ta'ala, spending a lot of his wealth in the way of Allah. One of the examples which I gave last time was the well of Ruma. Ruma बोल के जो एक कुआं था, जो was with the non-Muslims, and there was पानी की बहुत किल्लत थी वहाँ पे मक्के में, तो पानी नहीं मिलता था. तो रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने कहा जो इस कुएं को खरीदेगा उसको जन्नत की बशारत हो. So he went, negotiated with, I think that was a Jew, he negotiated with him, and that man was not ready to sell, so he quoted a very high price. So hikmat, he was a very good businessman, Usman Razillah Ta'ala. So hikmat on what he said, okay, don't sell me the full well, sell me half the well. So he took half the well, and people are saying, how do you take half the well? He said, one day I will use, one day the other person, the Jew, will use. So on the day which was allocated to Usman Razillah Ta'ala, उन्होंने पूरे लोगों के लिए कुआं ओपन कर दिया, फ्री कर दिया पानी. जैसे वो किया, क्या हुआ, पूरे लोग इनके दिन पे पूरा पानी लेते थे, अगले दिन पे जो काफिर का जो ये था राइट्स थे, उसके दिन पे nobody came to buy water. So his business went down, and he automatically came up to Usman Razillah Ta'ala and said, there's no point in keeping the well because कोई आ रहा नहीं, because he used to sell water and he used to make money. He said, now nobody is coming to take water, you better take the whole well. And then he bargained it for a good price and he purchased that well. The water of that well provided for the people and for the farms of Makkah to an extent that farms were purchased out of the money, farms were developed, the fruits which came out of the farms were sold, wealth was developed. He created a fund which even today, till date, there is a bank account in his name where funds to a large extent, crores of rupees, millions of dollars, I believe, is there in that fund, and millions of dollars are given every month to poor people. Look at the Sawab Jariya. Look at the thought process. He just did it because where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Jo ye kuan kharidega use jannat ki basharat." Look at the act. I mean, even today, don't you think, if we intend that मैं कुछ काम करूँगा, अल्लाह मुझे इसकी एवज में जन्नत देगा, अल्लाह नहीं देगा क्या? I mean, we don't have to logic how much of sawab I'm going to get. Should I get so much? Should I get for a year? Should I get for 10 years? It's not our part of the deal. What we have to do, we have to do. What Allah has to do, Allah will take care. So when we do any good deed, we should not belittle the deed. ये छोटी चीज है ना, क्यों करें? ऐसा नहीं सोचना चाहिए. Because that deed can actually lead to a lot of khair. The other thing was, Battle of Tabuk was one of the most crucial battles. And that time, there was khillat thi wahan pe. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam again got up and asked, who is going to support me in the Battle of Tabuk? So you remember I said last time that immediately Usman Razil stood up and said 100 camels. 100 camels fully loaded with साजो सामान जो चाहिए जंग के लिए, पूरा मिला के 100 कैंप. Then again Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked, who is going to support me in this? There is basharat of paradise. Again he stood up. It went on every time Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked the question, he was the only one who used to stand up and say 100 more camels. It went on to an extent that he did 940 camels fully loaded with all the stuff you require for the battle, and 60 horses fully loaded was given by him for the Battle of Tabuk. Now I'm giving you this context, background, for a very important reason, very crucial. Just pay attention, inshallah. I will be able to share something important. When Sulh Hudaybiyah happened, you know about it. When 1,400 Muslims went to Makkah, they wanted to perform Umrah. They went to they went to Makkah and they were blocked. The Quraysh did not allow them to come inside. When they were blocked, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had conversations with them. He always used to sit down and discuss. He used to have, conversations. He never reacted. He never fought. Whereas Umar Raziyallahu Anhu बहुत गुस्से में थे. How can they disallow us? Umrah जाने के लिए कैसे? How can they disallow us from going? They should allow us. We should go. Umar Raziyallahu Anhu का character अलग था. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was talking. Then what he did? He knew Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam की एक बेहतरीन क्वालिटी ये थी कि हर एक को हर काम नहीं देते थे. वो देखते थे कि ये इंसान के अंदर क्या काबिलियत है, वो उसके मुताबिक काम देते थे. He used to delegate the work according to the strength of the person. He called Usman Raziyallahu Anhu and said, you go to the leaders of Makkah. You go to the Quraysh, because they were outside Makkah. He said, you go and go sit down and negotiate them and see if we can get into the for Umrah. He sent whom? He sent Usman Raziyallahu Anhu. Who? Very soft, very humble, very shy character, but very eloquent. He speaks well, and everybody in Quraysh loves him because of his quality. So they sent him. He went, sat down with the leaders of the Quraysh, and he started talking to them. He was negotiating. But the Quraysh, what they did, the negotiations ko lamba kiye. So technically they wanted to hold, time. कभी कभी वक्त लेते हैं ना लोग, आज नहीं कल नहीं, कोर्ट्स के जैसा वक्त लेते हैं, वैसा उन्होंने वक्त लिया. और उसमें क्या हुआ, एक अफवाह निकली कि उस्मान रज़ियल्लाहु ताला अन्हु का कत्ल हो गया बोल के. कुरैश ने उस्मान रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु, who was an ambassador, and he went with a message to the leaders of the Quraysh, has been killed. ये अफवाह निकली. जैसे अफवाह निकली, it reached the Muslims who were there, 1,400 Muslims outside Makkah with Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They are waiting. It came to them and they were all very disturbed and upset. So that's when the famous oath or pledge was taken by Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam under the tree. And it's there in the Quran, where he pledged that if they have murdered Usman Raziyallahu Anhu, then we are all going to walk straight into Makkah to die. That means we are going to wage war. We are going to straight go inside Makkah. We are going to fight. And he shaved his head, notifying to everybody that we are not going to have the Umrah this year. ये साल उम्रा नहीं होगा, क्योंकि लोग बहुत डिबेट में थे, होगा नहीं होगा, जा सकते नहीं. वो शक को बंद करने के लिए रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम shaved his head there itself. And he said, we are not going for Umrah. And by then, some people said, पता नहीं क्या है, उस्मान जाके उम्रा कर लिए होगे. There are people who always, you have different categories of people in our community as well. Though they are religious, though they are people of faith, they'll be talking about एक शक या negative नजर से देखते. There's this people who start telling, क्या पता उस्मान रज़ी अल्लाह ताला को जो भेजे थे आप, उनको जो है मक्के वालों ने, the leaders have told him, we will not allow the Muslims, but you can go and do Umrah. Rasulullah said, हो ही नहीं सकता. I know Usman very well. Without me doing Umrah, he will never do the Umrah. And that was the fact. So that's how the whole thing was going on. And finally they came to know that Usman Razillah Taala is safe. And then, जो बया किए झाड़ के नीचे जो है, the pledge which they took, 1,400 Muslims took the pledge saying that today we pledge that if at all they have harmed Usman Razillah Taala, we are going in for battle. The pledge was so loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it's mentioned in the Quran that He has accepted them. And Rasulullah said, you are among the best of the people, to the 1,400 people. Because they stood together. They stood together in a decision. They didn't violate. ये बहुत बड़ी ताकत होती है. हमारे अंदर जब अमीर, घर का अमीर हो, कंपनी का अमीर हो, या कोई भी इदारे का अमीर हो, जब उसने कोई डिसीजन ले लिया है, तो बाकी लोगों को ऐसी वैसी बातें करना बंद करना पड़ेगा और उसके साथ बोलना, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह तुमने जो डिसीजन ले लिया है, आई एम विथ यू. That is the spirit of a Muslim, not creating waswasas behind. And this is something I'm telling. I hope you understand this story about Usman Razil. It's a very unique story. It's a very different story. You will understand as I'm going forward. You will understand this. कई मर्तबा इसके बाद कई मर्तबा Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at least 10 times, he has told Usman Razillah Ta'ala that you are going to be martyred. आप शहीद बनेंगे. एक बार 4 of them, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Bakr Siddiq Razillah Ta'ala, Umar Razillah Ta'ala, Usman Razillah Ta'ala, were standing on the Mount Uhud. Uhud के पहाड़ पे खड़े थे, and there was it's kind of an earthquake. It was shaking. The mountain started shaking. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded the mountain, stop, O Uhud. On you stand today a prophet, a Siddiq, and 2 Shuhada. So he indicated very clearly that Umar Razillah Ta'ala or Usman Razillah Ta'ala are going to be Shaheed. There were many other instances. Once he was sitting in a garden, people were searching where is Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He was sitting in a garden and he was contemplating. अलग से वक्त गुजारते थे Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam अकेले वक्त और उसके बाद में बैठ के तफक्कुर. I mean, he used to think about the ummah, about what is happening. Then he had kept somebody as the doorkeeper. One of the Sahabi was standing, protecting the door, not allowing anybody to come inside. Then somebody came there, so the doorkeeper came and asked Rasulullah, somebody has come to visit you, can I allow him? He said, you surely allow him and give him the glad tidings of paradise. The person who came in was Abu Bakr Siddiq. So what did he do? First, he said, allow him inside and give him glad tidings of paradise. So Abu Bakr Siddiq आए, बैठ गए. फिर थोड़ी देर के बाद और एक साहबी आए, फिर वही हुआ, फिर रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने said, call him in, give him glad tidings of paradise. It was Umar Razillah. This always used to happen. हर चीज में अबू बकर सिद्दीक रज़ी अल्लाह ताला आगे रहते, उसके बाद उमर रज़ी अल्लाह ताला उनके पीछे रहते. तो उसकी थोड़ी देर बाद another sahabi came and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he got up a bit, he changed his posture and he said, allow him inside and give him glad tidings of paradise, but tell him that he is going to go through a lot of pain before he will get paradise. This is a message to the ummah that जन्नत आसानी से नहीं आने वाली. जन्नत की तलब करने के लिए हमें इस दुनिया के अंदर मुशक्कत झेलना पड़ेगा, तकलीफों को झेलना पड़ेगा. जब भी तकलीफ आती है, we question Allah, why you are giving this problem to me? Why are you giving this taklif? Why you are giving this fitna to me? We are not supposed to question that. When he gave those trials and tribulations to the Prophet and the Sahaba, who are we? We should take it gracefully. They took it gracefully. You know what he said? Usman Razil, the moment he heard this, and when Rasulullah says something, it is done, right? He talks from wahi. He doesn't talk out of his mind. He talks from wahi. He said, Usman Razil said, Alhamdulillah, I depend completely on Allah and whatever happens. Look at the strength. Iman इसे बोलते हैं. So this is what happened, and many a times ऐसे बहुत से मौके थे जब रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने बताया कि अभी आप समझेंगे कि रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने दोनों के बारे में बताया, उमर रज़ी अल्लाह ताला के बारे में and Usman रज़ी अल्लाह ताला, that these two are going to be shaheed. What is the difference? Why did he keep emphasizing to Usman रज़ी अल्लाह ताला, not Umar? उमर रज़ी अल्लाह ताला को इतने बार नहीं बताया, वो ओहद के पहाड़ के ऊपर एक बार बताया था, and maybe sometimes he told that you are going to be a shaheed. But Usman रज़ी अल्लाह ताला, he said you are going to go through a big fitna and you are going to attain shahadat. Anybody knows this? It's so important to know, because Umar रज़ी अल्लाह ताला was martyred by a non-Muslim. But Usman रज़ी अल्लाह ताला was martyred by people who read the kalima. This was one of the biggest fitna. And how did it start? How did the whole fitna start? When he became the Khalifa, and you know his character, right? I told you about his character last week. When you think about him, what do you think? What a pure soul, right? He never even used to look up to people, because काबे के अंदर लोग उस जमाने में, जहालत के जमाने में लोग क्या करते थे? नंगे तवाफ करते थे. तो इनकी हया इतनी थी उस्मान रज़ी अल्लाह ताला की, that he never used to lift up his eyes because he does not want to see anybody like that. इतने हया वाले, इतनी जो है शर्मो हया थी उनके अंदर, इतने सॉफ्ट नेचर, that kind of a character. When he became the Khalifa, what happened? The people who were of the kalima, who were Sahaba, who were Muslims, started talking about this. They created the fitna. What am I trying to tell you? Sometimes we always think the enemy is outside. The greatest enemy is inside us if they have a loose tongue. अगर ज़बान इंसान की सही ना हो तो हम अपने घर में भी फितना बनाएंगे, हमारे कम्युनिटी के अंदर भी फितना बनाएंगे. तो हमें ज़बान संभाल के बात करना सीखना पड़ेगा. Just because Allah has given us a tongue, we cannot just keep talking. What happened is, one of the Sahaba came, Abdullah ibn Umar, I think. Yes, Abdullah ibn Umar. Umar रज़ी अल्लाह ताला के फर्जंद खड़े थे. He was a Sahabi and he was quite a known Sahabi. उनके पास आके बोले कि आप जानते हैं कि उस्मान रज़ी अल्लाह ताला उहद के जंग में जो है भाग गए. उनको कैसे आपने खलीफा बनाया? क्या आप जानते हैं कि उस्मान रज़ी अल्लाह ताला बदर के जंग में he did not participate. He didn't come for the jang. Do you know that? Look at who's talking. It's a Muslim who's talking. It's not a ghair. A Muslim is asking these questions. And he's asking a question, do you know? जब बैतुर रिदवान हुआ, बैतुर रिदवान was the pledge under the tree. When Prophet ﷺ was there with 1,400 people, they pledged under the tree. Usman रज़ी अल्लाह was not there. We all know the reasons why he was not there all the 3 times. Uhud का जो है, there is a lot of controversy because a lot of people, we were getting killed. Muslims were getting killed. They had to protect the Prophet ﷺ. They had to take care of themselves. Otherwise, the whole public would have been wiped out. Muslims would have been wiped out. We don't know the intention, the hikmah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the people who saved themselves, Allah forgave them for running. Allah ने कुरान के अंदर आयत नाजिल की where he said, I forgive people who did this in Uhud. Why was Usman रज़ी अल्लाह ताला not there in the next battle? The battle of Badr. Uhud is one. Battle of Badr, he was not there. That is because his wife was ill, very seriously ill. That is, the Prophet ﷺ's daughter was ill, and he was taking care. He wanted to come to the battle. Rasulullah ﷺ said, no, you stay back and take care of her. Third, when they were having the bayat under the tree, he was not there because he was the subject of the bayat. He was inside Makkah. He was not outside. He was not with them. Bayat किस लिए ली गई? People thought that Usman रज़ी अल्लाह ताला was martyred. That's why they took a bayat. So look at the fitna what people created. But you know what is fitne की खासियत क्या होती है मालूम? जब एक इंसान कोई गलत बात करता है और दूसरा सुन लेता है और फिर वो आगे जाके बोलता है, so that creates a fitna, and that fitna started spreading among the youngsters, especially in Makkah. उसके बाद क्या हुआ? लुक एट दिस मैन, इफ यू वांटेड ही वो जता सकते थे, मैंने दीन के लिए इतना काम किया, मैंने इस्लाम के लिए इतना काम किया, मैंने इतना पैसा दिया, मैंने रसूलुल्लाह सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को हर चीज में सपोर्ट किया, मैंने आप लोगों को सपोर्ट किया, बोल सकते थे, खलीफा थे. He didn't say anything. He kept quiet. Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. He kept quiet. And you know what he did? He became very close to the Quran. When people started, blaming him, कैसे हो सकता है कि ये बदर में नहीं थे, उहुद में नहीं थे, बैतुर रिदवान में नहीं थे, हाउ कैन यू मेक हिम अ खलीफा? बोल के जब फितना शुरू हुआ, लोग बात करना शुरू करे, इन्होंने क्या किया? खामोशी इख्तियार की. इनके नमाजें इंक्रीज हो गई, इनकी जो दुआएं इंक्रीज हो गई. तरीका है. हम लोग क्या करते हैं अक्सर, अगर कोई हमें ब्लेम कर दे या हमारे ऊपर कोई तोहमत लगा दे, हम डिफेंड करते हैं, हम उठ खड़े होकर बात करना शुरू करते हैं, आर्ग्यू करते हैं. ऐसा नहीं होता था. इनके जो क्वालिटीज थे बिल्कुल अलग थे. He became quiet, and then people came, his Sahaba, the people who were there during his Khilafat, they came and said, "या उस्मान रज़ियल्लाहु अन्हु बताइए, हम लोग उन लोगों को चुप कराएंगे, उनसे लड़ेंगे." He said no, because of my personal reason, I don't want even one drop of blood to be shed. If it was the case of Allah's message, ये दीन का मामला होता तो मैं बोलता था कि चलो जंग करेंगे, लेकिन ये मेरा पर्सनल मामला है, मेरे ऊपर तोहमत लगा रहे हैं, इसकी वजह से मुझे एक खतरा खून भी गिरना मेरे से मुझे राजी नहीं, मेरे दिल को राजी नहीं. Are you understanding the point? When it comes to personal, we should just keep quiet. When somebody gives us allegation and start putting us down, we just maintain silence, go back to the Quran. We have the best thing with us. We have the Quran, we have the Musalla. And that's what he did. And people started burning his house, throwing things on him. That's the kind of insult. And then one day, he used to fast. He used to read the Quran. He used to be in tahajjud. बताते हैं एक बार एक रकात में वो कुरान पूरा complete करते थे. ऐसी, such a character. Can you imagine completing the Quran in one rakat? It's a huge thing, right? And this was a man who was like that. So he started fasting. On the day he fasted, he fell asleep. He saw a dream where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came in the dream and said, "Hal kya hai? Are they troubling you?" He said, "Yes, Ya Rasulullah, they're troubling me." Are you? He asked a lot of questions. I said, "What is your hal right now?" "I'm fasting." So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, in the dream, he said, "You will be breaking your fast along with me, Abu Bakr and Umar." ये बशारत हुई उनको, नींद के अंदर बशारत हुई कि आप अपना जो रोजा है, you will break your fast along with us. And then he woke up. He was so happy. He woke up because he got this news. Then he said, immediately took the Quran and he started reciting. He was reciting. He was in the halat of roza, reciting the Quran, when the Muslims jumped into the house and killed him. So sometimes small words can become a large fitna, and fitna is there in this world. जिंदगी के अंदर मौत तक हमें फितने आते रहेंगे. इसे फेस करना हमें बताया गया. कैसे फेस करेंगे? Not by reacting, not by getting annoyed, not by showing wrong behavior, by doing sabr, by getting back to Allah. And that's the way He has taught us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all the people who have given their lives for this deen. It looks very simple, but so profound. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to understand that the true heroes were the people of those times, not the fake heroes which are being portrayed in this world today. We have to understand, we have to spread this message, we have to talk to our younger generation that please study about them. It will take a lifetime for us to study about these true heroes. Barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quran al-Azim wa nafana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikril hakim. Innahu ta'ala jawadun kareem barur rauf rahim wa rabbun halim.